Good to meet you.
Right.
And it's a great conversation. Beautiful afternoon.
Yeah.
Always a beautiful afternoon
In Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
especially this time of the year.
Yeah. So I remember when I first met Governor Alejandro, when he was inaugurated, and we had the, I think you were there on the round table. And he invited me, and it was an honor because he sat here on this side of the table. I sat next to him.
Yes.
Remember that? Remember that meeting?
I remember very well.
And I leaned over to him and I said, as a governor, I said, Puerto Rico is, with this Act 20, is in a unique situation. You can be the Singapore of the Caribbean. Right? And he sort of ran with that after that. And I think for the 4 years he kept talking about, we're going to be Singapore of the Caribbean. And now, instead of Singapore of the Caribbean, I believe we've become Silicon Island.
We are Silicon Island. It's just that we need more people to understand how deep and how it will really touch them in the future, especially in a future that will be run by AI and all the technological developments.
Yeah, and I think that for Puerto Rico to have the mindset that we are Silicon Island is explosive for Puerto Rico because it can be done. We are doing it. We have done it on the island. And as you know, the analysis out there, very well studied and accepted, is that $15 trillion between now to 2030s will be added to the economy just through AI alone. That's not including blockchain, right? And I think if you include AI and blockchain, it's probably closer to $30 trillion. Right? But if you just say $15 trillion over the next 5 years, that's $3 trillion a year. Right? So Puerto Rico and the young people in Puerto Rico should be having their mindset, how do I get as much of that $3 trillion here on the island as possible?
And it's, for me, the world of blockchain is kind of the balancing act for all the developments in the AI world. It's what creates the truthfulness of everything that is happening in the AI. In the AI, you can create anything, but it needs to be truthfulness. And that's what blockchain brings. And Puerto Rico happens to have an incredible ecosystem of blockchain developers, marketeers, investors, and we also happen to have developers, technology graduates, unique program under the universities in Puerto Rico that train world-class engineers. When you add up the tax incentives, the geographical location, the certainty that the U.S. legal framework and that the fact that you have the federal court system and all the protections of the patent and intangibles of the U.S. in Puerto Rico. And you also add up incredible R&D, research and development, tax credits that, different to any part of the world, they are monetizable. You can sell them and you monetize those tax credits. So you're not only getting tax exemption when you finally make it, it's going to sell the business or you're profitable. You actually get tax credits, which basically doubles your capital, your equity in your business to make developments.
Yeah, that's right. And I think the most important part people miss about AI, because people think, okay, if it's AI, then why isn't there big data centers on the island? and all of these things, right? Like, where's the big AI infrastructure, right? And data centers, in my opinion, have become like a cathedral, right? They're more of a showpiece, like, hey, we're an AI economy, and it's, you know, they're way too expensive, and the amount of return you'd have to make to get the amount of revenue you need to make to pay for an AI data center is not, it's not a wise, I don't believe it's a wise investment for Puerto Rico, because ultimately real AI, the real engineering, the real hard work is all up here. It's all about the math and creativity.
Pavan, you hit it in the nail. We spent 50 years developing what we call Operation Bootstrap, which was hands to work. Now we are in the minds to work, to work.
Yeah.
Why we want to go back to brick and mortar,
Yeah.
to big data centers? That's not the future of Puerto Rico. The future of Puerto Rico is our minds.
Yes.
The minds of all the talented Puerto Ricans that are studying in Puerto Rico, that are growing up in Puerto Rico, and our biggest hidden asset, which is the diaspora that wants to come back. Because in Puerto Rico, it's not only, again, all these incentives, it's that we are part of the United States. It's our weather, it's our people, it's our flow, the way we live here. So all this successful diaspora wants to come back, and the opportunities now are here on the economy of the mind.
Yeah, I mean, look, our engineers frequently are either in the rainforest or on the beach coding. And if you want to be creative, right, there's nothing more creative than being in a creative environment. And it's like you just cannot get this kind of a culture, right, and geographic environment that encourages out-of-the-box thinking. And the Puerto Rico culture itself is all about being individual and being innovative. And then on top of it, you get this beautiful island to do it from. Like, you can't help but be creative on this island.
And it's unique.
Yeah.
That's why we feel so enthused, motivated to promote, because we are living it. We know that it's just not the business opportunity, it's the lifestyle, right, that we see that we are enjoying. We see our family, our friends enjoying it. And we feel that we have to tell the world that we have this unique place full of incentives, great lifestyle, and is ready with already the infrastructure that is needed to develop the best technology for the world. Right now, we are ready, and that's happening. That's not to happen. We have connectivity, cable connectivity to the mainland, for internet. We have everything.
Yeah, well, and you have some of the greatest artists in the world are here, right? I mean, obviously everyone knows Bad Bunny. Now Bad Bunny's really brought Puerto Rico to the center of art. But I mean, before Bad Bunny, you had artist after artist. An entire musical genre was created in Puerto Rico.
The same creativity that manifests in the arts, in the sports. You have the top catchers in the Major League Baseball by any measurement. There's no other place that can say that they have the top talent on like Puerto Rico as catchers. And that transmit to many other areas as a per capita. Puerto Rico produces creative talent. That's measurable. And as that, again, we are right in the middle of the intersection of AI, blockchain, and what Puerto Rico provides in terms of infrastructure, geographic position, incentives, and one more thing, Pavan. I know we have had this conversation of what people from India provides, engineers from the US, but it's important for people to understand what is a bicultural person. That's very different of being bilingual. And you will find in different parts of Latin neighborhoods in the US, bilingual people. But in Puerto Rico, you find the bicultural, which is the persons that really were brought out in the Latin, Hispanic culture, but grew out, trained in compliance, in business, in the mindset of the US system. And they are bilingual and they are bicultural in the sense that they feel like a Hispanic Latin American, but they think in compliance and in business as a US person. And that's a unique person. And I have seen it when they test the launching of new products and all of that. What you find on this island is unique.
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of, I'm glad you brought that up because there's actually a lot of studies out there that demonstrate that if you're bilingual, then your IQ, like how learning more than one language as you're growing up increases your overall IQ and your problem-solving abilities. But I have a theory on this, is that if you're bicultural, then not your IQ, but your EQ, emotional quotient, goes up. Right? So what that means is, and I see this very much in Puerto Rico, they're very empathetic and able to read a situation and understand and adjust quickly. And that also makes them very good at problem resolution. Right? They can de-escalate a problem instead of it exploding. De-escalate, solving a problem, and that's what you need. And when you're in any kind of creative business or endeavor or any business environment, you need people who are going to de-escalate, work together, find solutions to problems, not create problems.
And usually that cannot be taught.
Yes.
That has to come natural.
Right.
And that's a characteristic that's why when we have conversation and we joke about the Puerto Rican, for them it's easy to turn a very bad situation into a funny or a thing that they can laugh at. And that's one of the criteria to distinguish an intelligent and a bright person, a person that can laugh at himself or at a situation. And culturally, the Puerto Rican people, even when we had that terrible hurricane that destroyed and stopped the island for months, people found out even how to do a community party when someone went and acquired a generator. Everything was something to look at the good side of it.
I think it's just the island culture, right? Being on an island, being in a small community, creates a lot of humility and social awareness and social networking. Social networking is required to be successful on the island, right? And I'm not talking about internet social networking. I'm talking about people-to-people social networking, the way it's supposed to be done, right? And so social skills are super high on the island, along with multicultural skills.
It's what life is about, solving problems. Life throws you a lot of problems, and that goes to the situation if you are a coder or you are in the development of technology, then you have those skills to solve situations, and that is really a great advantage. Our engineering students, they are looked for by all the big U.S. companies before they graduate. What I beginning to see, and I want to see more, is that our young generation understand that they can get together, work from here, provide services from here. They will get the same incentives of any company coming from outside of Puerto Rico and becoming a local company. They can do the same, and they can provide services to any part of the world and do joint ventures. And if they, instead of going to work for a U.S. company, stay here and work from Puerto Rico, you can perform at the same level, and then you will have additional benefits.
Yeah, and part of it, like if you think about what made Silicon Valley happen, right? It started off, decades ago with Hewlett Packard and Intel, and they sort of laid the foundation and built kind of the basic framework. And you had a couple of universities there, Stanford and UC Berkeley, right? And along the way, step by step, those companies grew, and they became large and wealthy, and that created a ecosystem of venture funds and support network around that, right? And that's how it didn't happen overnight. I mean, it took decades for Silicon Valley to be Silicon Valley, and it's the same thing for Puerto Rico. My goal is to build that same venture capital and business ecosystem on the island. And the beauty of the island is that it's already built it has had for a long time the universities and the talent, right? But what was missing is the capital and the business ecosystem around it to get startups and get new money flowing on the island. So having taken a company from zero 13 years ago to $119 billion today, and now we're building a massive campus in Bayamon, and now we're going to take that and use that as a launching pad to bring in new and fresh capital into the island, and start building a venture system and private equity system around this single hub. Right, so I think we're going to see this sort of slowly. It's not going to happen overnight, but in the next 20 years, we're going to see Puerto Rico as a global hub for capital and with a complete ecosystem around it.
It's a process. One of the things that I tell everyone that I hate of all these quick fixes is that they are not real, because they sell a quick fix based on one solution, and it's a process, as everything in life. And you need mentors, you need your co-workers. I just saw part of the process of development a product is a discussion of why this is working, how it can work this other way, and it doesn't happen in a day, because the mind doesn't produce all the
you don't get all the answers.
iterations
right.
simultaneously.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's what being able to have first what you have provided, which is the basic products, the opening to the world, and now a future headquarters with a campus. That's the right steps. From there, I'm sure that you will have certain stars that will probably divest, and probably you will invest in them, and you will do projects. Many things begin to happen out of those investments, and that's the magic. That's how Silicon Valley was created.
Yeah.
It was created out of the generosity of bright people that were successful, and they shared their success and their talent and their wealth, so many other people could come up and succeed. And that's what I think you're bringing to Puerto Rico. That mindset that we need so much is providing the right ambience to thrive.
Yeah, and I think, I've talked to a lot of kids, young people entering into engineering or just graduated from engineering in Puerto Rico, and I really want them to shed the belief, the mindset that, oh well, I went to UPR, I went Inter-American or something, and that's not Stanford or that's not MIT, and so I'm not good enough, right? And that's completely false. Right? You don't need external validations. You don't need that stamp. Right? Right? And this is proof. Right? We built something world-changing here in Puerto Rico with Puerto Rican leadership, Puerto Rican engineers, right? Without that official stamp.
I think that's such an important point that you're making, because I graduated from the University of Puerto Rico. I had to personally battle with my mindset when I went to meetings of people that were graduated from Harvard, Yale, Stanford, and I was probably doing better than them were doing, but I had to battle with myself that I didn't felt probably that I was being valued as the other were valued on that table. But as you grow in life, you begin to understand that you're on that table for a reason, because you provide some value, you're adding value in that table. And then you begin to see that you don't need those titles. What you need is to learn, educate yourself, and perform and provide results.
Yeah.
And by that, by connecting with other people, by networking correctly, by being authentic, then those, having been on those universities, becoming relevant, really.
Yeah. At the end of the day, what you discovered is that, hey, you're confident in yourself, you're proud, and you're proud to be Puerto Rican, right? And that's all that matters. Nobody else really in that room is even thinking about your degree or where you came from. The reality is, in the real world, well, there's some people that do.
There are some people, but probably they are not the ones that are succeeding.
Yes.
The ones that are succeeding are concerned the result.
Yeah.
What
Exactly.
we want.
Yeah, the ones, if you come across someone who cares about those superficial things, don't worry about them. They're not important, because they'll never get anywhere. They probably are nowhere, and they'll never get anywhere.
That's a great wisdom sharing.
I'll tell you my own experience. I was a terrible student in high school, and I have ADD, pretty severe ADD. But over the years, I don't take medication. I learned to control it. I learned to manage it. Right? Like for right now, like sitting here, I'm having a very hard time sitting.
So you understood the triggers.
I have a strong urge to get up and move around. It's very hard for me to sit in one place still. So I was like in high school, I zoned out. I was like, I didn't feel like it was working for me. Somehow I made it into engineering school. And then having the freedom of a college campus environment where nothing is specifically required and I could move at my pace and do whatever I wanted to do, right? That experience freed up the mind. And that's when I started excelling. So that's the funny thing about this, right? And that is what I say about the culture here. The culture here, you have a lot of freedom, right? And that creates creativity.
Oh, that's a very important point because I deal with a lot of new residents. I always ask, what are the main areas that you have liked about Puerto Rico? Usually, the first one is the people, but there's another one that is, I think, even more powerful. And it's that a lot of the new residents have told me that they feel freedom, that there's no other place that they have worked for professionally where their creativity and their freedom of expression have been like in Puerto Rico. And that have made me reflect on why they are telling me that. And I have gotten to the conclusion that in Puerto Rico, the words liberal or conservative or any type of discrimination is irrelevant. For us, there's no reason to feel that anyone is different because of color or race or anything. We were raised to feel that everyone is equal. And also, we were raised to feel that anyone can do whatever they want. And I think that people feel that when they come to Puerto Rico, and that makes them to have freedom of creativity. Yeah. That's important.
One thing I want to point out, especially to you all, is I first met Bacó when you were the head of economic development.
Yeah.
For Governor Alejandro. I think I met you at the first meeting, right?
We met. I was named the second person that Alejandro named of his administration, and we met right after I was appointed.
Yeah.
Before taking oath and all that.
Yeah. So I promised Governor Alejandro at that time. I said we'll add 300 jobs to the island. He's like, okay, you got my attention. I still remember saying that, right?
And I came here. I came and now you have added a lot more.
Yeah.
And more than that, Pavan, you have added not only jobs, because what we need in Puerto Rico is diversity of jobs. What we need in Puerto Rico are jobs that elevate the quality of life, the quality of the experience, and you're creating that type of jobs, which are the jobs that can bring back